Let's stay in the SEC West and another matchup of top 15 teams. Number 3, Ole Miss, travels to College Station, taking on number 14, Texas A&M. Who you got?
I like Ole Miss in this one. And I know this one's going to surprise you too, Skip. You know, everybody talks about regression to the mean. I expect Texas A&M to progress to the mean. They're not going to have 9 drops this week. But still, this Ole Miss defense, particularly this defensive line, is absolutely fierce. And I think what we saw last week from Kenny Hill is that when he's under pressure, like most quarterbacks, he gets flustered, he flushes out of the pocket, and he makes some bad decisions.
I agree.
That's what we saw. I think we'll see that again. Bo Wallace, he's going to go the other way, I believe. He's going to be one of those regress to the mean kind of guys. Although he threw 18 for 31, so the numbers weren't great, but the fourth quarter performance
really
against
good.
Alabama was pretty good.
Yep.
Some of those throws weren't really contested.
Yep.
They weren't, you know, the Alabama defense this year is a shadow of what we've seen before. But I think that they will still have enough to beat A&M, even on the road, because they're going to get on a short field, and that's where Bo Wallace flourished last week. It'll happen again this week.
Stephen A.
Bottom line is simple for me. I agree with you. I think Ole Miss wins this game, although it's going to be on the road, because I have absolutely no faith whatsoever in Texas A&M's defense. I don't think they can stop anybody. As much as I love Kevin Sumlin, and I think he's one hell of a coach, this is the second year in a row we're talking about how awful his defense is, and I think that's a problem. When you look at Bo Wallace, you know what he can do, but you've got a decent running game with Walton. Then you look at their receivers. I'm just looking at the numbers here with Treadwell, Core, Sanders, and I'm saying, look, man, there are bunch of targets. They use about 3 or 4 different targets from the receiving position. I'm just looking at Ole Miss right now, and I'm saying what you said about that front seven, it's legitimate. To me, Robert, of course, Texas A&M is going to find a way to put up some points, but at the same time, when it comes to somebody stopping somebody, what's the chances of Ole Miss neutralizing Texas A&M's offense, at least on a few possessions? The chances are very, very good. What's the chances of Texas A&M stopping anybody? Slim to none. That's just the way I look at it. I see Ole Miss winning a game like this. I'd say something along the lines of 31-23.
Okay, I'm with both of you on this. Ole Miss's defense is allowing 10 points a game, which is second best in the country. That is legit. And it's too legit for Kenny Hill at this stage of his development. And I agree with you. He's going to have a hard time. He did have some drops. He also threw some mystery balls at Mississippi State. He's not consistent enough yet. And I got this one 28-20 visiting team at A&M.
No fear of the letdown. The guys all like Ole Miss. Another top 10 matchup, number 9 TCU and number 5 Baylor. Who do you got?
Well, first of all, Skip, this one's got to be a bit of a surprise for you. The biggest game in the state of Texas on the weekend of the Red River rivalry is not the Red River rivalry.
That's a painful thought and true.
I like TCU in this game. I am not convinced. You know, we saw this same thing with Baylor a year ago. Everybody at the beginning of the year was talking about Art Briles. This offense has been great. But what about this defense for Baylor? It's been tremendous. And then they play Kansas State, and then you get a little bit worried. And then they play Texas Tech, and you start getting real worried. And then they played Oklahoma State, and it was like, okay, it's the same Baylor defense. And then in the bowl game, I'm still hearing this from UCF fans. I'm still hearing it. I'm hearing about picking Baylor with 35 confidence points in Bowl Mania. And I said the only reason I picked 35 confidence points is because I can't pick 70 confidence points. I took Baylor big in that one. Disappointed for the same reason that this game is going to cost, or that it's going to cost them in this game. That defense, bunch of new starters, not convinced. Jamal Palmer, one of their best defensive players, is out of this game. TCU and this offense are for real. I thought Matt Jokel coming in from A&M would be the starter with this new system that Cumbie and Meacham are running, these co-offensive coordinators. Trevon Boykin has been tremendous.
He's tremendous.
Great athlete. Yeah. He's a converted defensive guy. He's a lot of fun to watch, and I think against this Baylor team, a Baylor team that had Bryce Petty struggle against that Texas defense a week ago. They got the run game going. They're not going to run on TCU. I think they're going to have trouble here. TCU takes it.
TCU. Stephen A.
I agree with them. I don't think Baylor's going to run on TCU. I love their upset over Oklahoma last week. Boykin, to me, is the real deal. I don't think Baylor's going to be able to neutralize him as well because he can throw and he can run it. We're going to see what he does. Ultimately, I just need to see more of Baylor. Haven't seen much of them over the years, only 2 or 3 times. I'm just not a believer in this team. I think when the big moment arrives, they're not going to, and that's just the way I look at it. TCU showed me something last week. I predicted they were going to beat Oklahoma because I saw something in them, and I think they're legit, and I think they go to Baylor, and I think they knock off Baylor on the road this time as well.
And I will make it unanimous.
Oh, wow.
I'm going with TCU. Listen, Bryce Petty cracked the transverse process in his back, and he has not been the same since. And last week, he was 7 out of 22 for 111 yards. Last year at TCU, he threw 2 pick sixes in that game. I think they have his number. And I think the number of this game is going to be 33-27 TCU.
And remember, TCU was the #1 defensive foe against Baylor a year ago, held them to 370 yards, which very few people do, and that was when their offense wasn't anything like what it is right now. TCU's offense wasn't anything like what it is right now.
Guys all like the Horned Frogs. All right, one-word answer, Alabama, Arkansas.
Alabama.
Pretty adamant.
His is going to be 2 words.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Stephen A.
Roll Tide!
Sounds about right.
Okay, if you get 2 words, I get 2 words. Alabama, barely.